What's up, guys? Today I wanted to talk about the dark side of entrepreneurship because I feel like this is something that's really never talked about, but it's pretty much experienced by everyone. And I wanted to make this video because I want to talk to you guys about some struggles that I've gone through mentally in the last few months and that I've seen some of my students go through. And I just thought it would help a lot of you guys out to know that someone's gone through the same things, had some of the same mental struggles. And even if you haven't had them yet, I can pretty much guarantee that you're going to have them. So just want to talk about a little bit my experience last couple months and kind of the dark side of entrepreneurship as a whole, because I think, as you guys know, it's made out to look a lot better than it actually is. So yeah, let's just get right into it. Let's talk about a little bit of my story, and then after that I'll get some of my students and try to give you guys advice, as good advice, and tell you about my personal situation as much as possible so you guys know that someone else has been through it before as well. So last couple months, well, actually I'll start with this first. Obviously one of the biggest things, one of the biggest dark sides of entrepreneurship is that the fact that with the internet age today, when you go on Instagram, when you go on YouTube, everybody's always bragging about how much success they have. Look, I just bought this new watch, just bought this new car, bought this new house, whatever, made $100,000 this month. I'm not gonna lie, I've made a video on how I made $100,000 last month, but am I making $100,000 this month? No, my income goes up and down. And I told you guys, wow, I made $100,000 this month. And of course that's revenue, by the way. And in the actual video, I covered that, how much profit I made. So always being honest with those numbers and everything is super important. But the thing you guys gotta realize is, you're most of the time comparing, and this is something I'm telling for myself as well, you're most of the time comparing your day-to-day life to somebody's highlight reel. And that's just not realistic. Most people aren't gonna show you what the day-to-day, what the worst parts of their day are, because let's be honest, that's not motivating, that's not exciting to people. Like, why would I wanna put my worst moment in a YouTube video? That would just depress people, right? So I try to focus on like the highlights because that's what people really want to see. But this video, that's why I wanted to make this video, is to talk about the things that people don't really talk about. So that's the first thing I wanted to talk about, was like, just remember that, like, every time you're looking at an Instagram post, a YouTube video, like, remember that these people are showing you their highlight tape. They're not showing the behind the scenes. And yes, of course, it's a great thing to let it motivate you and inspire you, but just know that they are going through the same struggles as you. And I think this really, I really realized, one of the first times I might have realized this is when I spent a couple days at someone's house that is also an online entrepreneur. And it's just totally different, like seeing someone in person and seeing their day-to-day life versus what their YouTube videos look like and what their Instagram looks like. It's just like a huge difference, and you don't really realize that until you actually, I didn't realize that, what it's actually like for them, until I saw them in person and realized they're like a real person too. They make mistakes. They maybe wake up late one day. They're not as motivated as you maybe expect, like doing everything, like going crazy. And it's just like a more realistic. So that's the first thing I wanted to talk about, is just don't judge yourself against someone's highlight tape, and just always remember that, and just keep getting better every single day, and you'll get there. All right, so the struggle that I've been going through personally was a little bit of that, but mainly something else. The struggle that I've been going through personally has been my income going down. From my peak, it's been cut in half, a little bit less than that even possibly. So my peak this last year was about $40,000 profit in a month. And now I'm making somewhere between $10,000 and $20,000 per month profit. So obviously that's like a little bit over a cut in half. And it's just difficult, even though I know that I've kind of had to, in order to get where I am, I've kind of had to like strip my business down to its core, and now I'm building it back up again, because that was something necessary in order for us to scale. It still really hits your ego hard to be at such a high point and then go back down, because I do believe that your happiness is correlated to the amount that you're improving. So the faster you're improving and the faster your income is going up or whatever, the happier you might be. And the thing that's been tough about that is that, like about a month ago, a couple weeks ago, I felt like my happiness was lower than what it was like 2 years ago when I was just starting out. And that can be hard because even though I'm making like $15,000 a month profit, it's weird to be like less happy when you're making $15,000 per month profit than when you're making like $2,000 or $3,000, but you're growing like really fast and you can see the progress. So it's kind of just a weird situation where your happiness can be like that. But then once I realized like how much I really have now, happiness started to, I've been able to fix that. And just something interesting that I want to tell you guys about, because you'll probably experience it at some point. I mean, entrepreneurship goes up, there's ups and downs all the time. And my up and down has lasted like almost a year now. So when it lasts that long, it can be really tough. But I know that I'm going to get through it. And the thing is, I just keep putting the work every single day. And it can be really hard, like in the last week or two, like when you work on something for so long and then it doesn't go as you expect. And then you have to like, oh, I got to rebuild this all over again. And I've had to do that like 2 times now. So it can be really hard when you expect your income to go back up and then it doesn't. And then you fix it and then you're like, oh yeah, it's going to go up now. And then it doesn't. And then you go in and you got to fix it again. The thing is that's really helped me is just being persistent through that, persistent through those failures. So if you guys are experiencing failures, like I just want to let you know that happens. You can literally work on something for a year and then like, let's say you work on a startup for a year and then it just fails. Like it can be so tough to feel like you've wasted a whole year of your life on something that just ended up to fail. But the key is like to success is you're going to fight through those failures and you're going to keep going even though it's super hard. And you just got to have that end goal vision in mind. You just got to have that mindset where you're going to do whatever it takes to get there. It doesn't matter how many times I fail. I'm just going to keep getting back up and just keep going up and up and up. It's going to kind of be like this thing where you're going like, boom, like you're making steps back, but overall you're gaining progress. That's kind of the way it is. But when you look at it in the micro, when you're looking at it the day to day, it can be really stressful and be really hard on your mind to do that. But you just got to keep an eye on the big picture. I'm saying this stuff for myself too. So first thing is that comparing people's highlights to your day-to-day life. Second thing is income going up and down. That's been really tough on me lately. And so some of my students' experiences that I've seen some people struggle with is like one that got my attention in particular was he wants the success badly, but it seems like there's always something holding him back, that procrastination. And I can definitely see how that can be really hard when you want something for your family and then it just seems like you just keep getting back into your old habits. And I just want you guys to know, like, everybody's human. Even me, it may seem like I'm super motivated every day, but the reality is sometimes in the middle of the day, I gotta go, my mind's just not thinking straight, and I gotta go to the gym and I gotta get my mind off things and get my mind right because I'm not motivated at all. Or I might have to watch a video for an hour or watch a movie for an hour and then come back to work later after that. Now, of course, you can't let it turn into a thing where you're like, I'm going to go watch Netflix for an hour and then it turns into 5 hours. Like, of course, that's not going to work. But with me, sometimes that happens. And sometimes I wake up late. Sometimes I slack off. That happens. But the key is, like, how much work are you actually putting in? How much progress are you actually making? And like these mess ups can happen. Of course, you want to be as productive as possible, but like you gotta just put in the work and realize that nobody's perfect, but you're gonna try to do your very best to be the best that you can. And the key is not comparing yourself to others. You're making yourself better. As long as you are becoming better every single day compared to your old self, that's what you need to focus on, not how much better are you becoming than this other person. Because when you start to bring other people into it, you start to get demotivated and then you're comparing yourself to them and you're like, oh, I'll never be as good as them. And that's when you really start to get yourself down. So more so think about, rather than looking at other people, start thinking about, how can I make myself a little bit better, even if it's just a tiny bit better every single day. So the thing is, look at yourself. Don't be comparing yourself to Gary Vee, where this guy's working like, or even like Sam Evans, Alex Becker. Like Alex Becker, I've seen in some of his videos, he's like, I work 12 hours a day. If you're just starting out with your business and you're like, I gotta work 12 hours a day, like that, you're not gonna be able to do it, most likely, unless you're like insane. But like nobody's gonna be able to do that when they're first starting their business. So even if you put in an hour when you're working, like if you're working a 9 to 5 and you put in an hour after work, I would consider that good if you're not putting any, or you're just like slowly work up. And it has to do with like every aspect, not amount of time that you work, but just look at yourself and try to become a little bit better every day than you were the day before, and just don't look at other people. That's like the key thing there. And so, yeah, I think the biggest thing that I've been struggling with lately has been, I feel like my happiness is back up to normal now, but it's just like a weird situation where you felt like you might have been happier like a year or two ago, even though your income's higher now, but it's because you've reached that peak and then you've gone back down. And just like an interesting kind of thought. But one thing that's helped me out is, and it's kind of like taught me, is I was spending way too much. I was kind of like putting too much stress in my finances. And this is another tip that might help you guys out. One thing that I was kind of doing as I was growing my business higher and higher is I started to make my expenses go higher and higher to match that, kind of like reinvesting in my business. Where, for example, I got this home. Now I'm not saying that I'm not in such a problem where I'm not going to be able to like afford my home. I have enough money to do that, of course, but like it was just probably too soon to buy a new home. Now I did it for reasons for my wife, because we needed a backyard for our dogs and she needed an office to work in because our apartment didn't have another room she could use for an office. So that was kind of like one of the reasons we got it faster, but it definitely was pushing our budget to the very limits, which I shouldn't have done when like you're just building. I mean, I was 21 years old when I bought the house, which for somebody to buy like a $400,000 house at 21 is kind of crazy. And I probably should have waited longer. But just one thing that what I'm kind of getting to here, and I'm sorry for ranting on this video, I'm just kind of doing this in one take so that I can help you guys out as much as possible and just keep the realness of it. So I do apologize if I ramble a little bit, but I'm doing my best to make it short as possible. While still covering every point. So like, just be careful when you're growing your business, because realize that you're gonna have times in your business where it goes up and down. And so you don't want to adjust. Like if you get to your max month and you keep adjusting, increasing your expenses as your income goes up, you're gonna get locked in this trap where, oh, now I got this new house and I gotta be able to pay the mortgage. So I gotta keep working harder. And I got this like monthly subscription that's $1,000, and I got this personal trainer, and I got this cook for my house, and I got cleaning people for my house and all these things, and I got like 3 more employees than I actually need, and all these kind of things. So just be a little bit careful of that as you're scaling up. Now, it's of course great to reinvest in your business. I think that's a great thing. That's one of what I spent most of my profits on, is just growing my business, reinvesting in my business even more. But just realize that like in entrepreneurship, your business can go up and down. So don't just blow all your money as soon as you get it. I'm still in a good position right now, by the way. So don't worry. I'm still in a great position for as far as like income and everything like that. And I'm not going to go broke or anything like that. So don't worry about me. But I'm just giving this advice because it's something that I saw myself kind of getting into a little bit, but I feel like overall, I've been pretty good with my finances, but not as good as I could have been. So that's just a little extra tip for you guys. So with that said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And if you have any struggles that you've been going through, or any of the dark sides of entrepreneurship that you see kind of going around, I'd be glad to see what you guys have to say in the comments, kind of have a little discussion. So thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. It means a lot to me. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. See ya.